Hi, good evening. Thank you all so much for joining me. Welcome to the Fall College Planning Seminar. We are going to talk a little bit about what to expect the next couple of months for you and your junior, to talk about, what exactly needs to happen between now and when you actually start the actual search process, which is in the spring. So I have a couple of slides planned for you, which we'll go through. And then at the end, I'm going to open it up for question and answer, just a really nice kind of relaxed atmosphere to have everyone sort of join together and ask anything that they want to know the answer to these days. I know that there's a lot changing in the world of college planning, so please feel free to take it upon yourself to ask anything. No question is a silly one. And without further ado, I'm going to start the process. All right. So, we say that preparation is really the key to making sure that you have a comprehensive, well prepared college application. In a few short months, you really will start doing the search process where you're looking for identifying the right fit college. So, whether that's by size, location, cost, major, all of those fun things. And that really starts to narrow down when you get to about the April, May part of the junior year. Up until this process, we really don't ask you to do too much, but I know that there's a lot of anxiety surrounding this process, so I really wanted to come and speak to you tonight just to let you know that there are some things that you can do to make sure that everything is lined up to get you ready for that process. And then hopefully in the fall of the senior year, you will actually be doing the application process. So I look at the whole process as a two-step. The spring of the junior year is the search process, and then the fall of the senior year is the actual application process. So what do I care most about? Grades, and more grades. I can do pretty much anything with a transcript that looks good. If the student has taken the right courses and has done well in them, it gives me a lot of opportunity to create things for the student. So situations in which there might be some weaknesses. If the grades are there and the coursework is there, that gives us a lot of leverage. Okay. What to expect the next couple of months. The guidance team here at Bergen Catholic is very, very proactive. Their door is always open. They work in tandem with me to really help me get to all of the students in the 9th and 10th and the beginning of the 11th grade year. Once the seniors, our current seniors who are going through the college process are finished, the spotlight really shifts to all of the juniors. So by December, January, you will see that my role really becomes prominent in the boys' lives. You will meet with me in January and we will go through the college planning guide. We will talk about all the ins and outs of everything you need to do. And I will give you the step-by-step process of what you should be doing for the college search. Right now, I'm going to go through again the career exploration model that we go over in the classrooms, making sure that you are building an academic profile. Naviance is the system in which we use to make sure that those two things are happening. So in 9th grade and 10th grade, the career exploration and academic profile seminars by the counselors should have begun. So if you haven't seen your guidance counselor, at least a minimum, of 2 times freshman year and 2 times sophomore year, you need to make sure that you are very proactive and you go and you see them. We are in the classrooms, the counselors are here. But like I said, a lot of times if you're a kid who really doesn't have any, schedule changes or any kind of issue that you might go see a counselor for, you might not have a lot of interaction. And so I challenge you to make sure that you just pop in and say, hi, my name's Kevin. I don't know if you really know, but this is what I'm interested in. And give them a copy of your resume, the things that you've done the last 3 years so that they have a sense of who you are and what you're passionate about. A lot of talk has been, surfacing about testing and the need for the PSAT, obviously, sophomore year and junior year. As of right now, the juniors will be the class that is receiving the PSAT. It is scheduled for you on October 14th. We will be holding it in school, so during the school day. The current sophomores will be put off until January, just because of social distancing. We can't accommodate both classes and keep school in session. But the juniors will have it on October 14th. So for those kids who are interested in national merit, you still will have the opportunity to take the test. The pre-ACT is something that I suggest in grades 10 and 11, but because of the pandemic, we had to put that plan on hold. So as of right now, we are not giving the pre-ACT. But in place of, I recommend that all juniors take an actual ACT in January. I have spoken with Mr. McElhenney, and I will be proctoring or giving the ACT. The counselors and I will be giving an ACT for juniors in the spring, in light of that most kids have had their ACT or SAT canceled. We are giving for current seniors an ACT on October 20th here at Bergen. We are typically not a test site, so we don't give an SAT or an ACT, but given the circumstances, we have plans to do that just this calendar year. Like I said, guidance counselor interaction, I spoke about that already. So schedule a meeting, share your resume, discuss course placement and challenging yourself. Even if at the end of the school year, last year, you didn't maybe meet the requirements to move to an honors class, my recommendation is that if you have the fire or the passion, that you pursue it anyway. The answer might be no, we don't think that you're honors material or AP material, but I challenge you to challenge yourself by taking the most difficult courses that we offer. That is going to be the way to get into the most competitive colleges, if that is so your path. Okay, so the second part is to immerse yourself. Grades are very important, but being involved is equally important. So get involved. Make sure that it is a club, a sport. You're involved in your community. You're a leader. You're doing service. You could go on the, in previous years, service trips and cultural exchanges. Obviously, both of these programs that we offer are on hold. Obviously, this is a very weird time, but I challenge you to try to figure out other ways to sort of fill those gaps. Come and see your guidance counselor, come and see me and say, hey, I really have a passion for X. What can I do in order to fulfill that? Summer programs. This is something that, I encourage always. You'll hear me probably speak about how important summer programs are, if you ever heard me speak before. The academic enrichment for the college experience, just the preparation of it is so beneficial. You're able to take college level courses working with college level professors who are going to teach you how to write at the college level. They're going to be presenting material that you wouldn't otherwise get. The coursework should be coursework that you can't receive here at Bergen Catholic. It should be a class on neurobiology if you're interested in becoming a doctor, or psychology if you have a passion in that field. Something that you can't take here, take elsewhere, so that when you actually apply to college, you have something else to present. Obviously, this past summer, the summer programs existed, but everything was virtual. So the actual on-campus experience is something you wouldn't have gotten, but the academic enrichment you still could benefit from. So if we are still there, this coming summer, I would encourage you to take a look. Research, volunteer in a lab, a hospital when it's safe to do so. Do an internship. Use your resources. If you have a neighbor who works at Sony, call, Mr. Jones up and say, hey, I'm really interested in logistics. Is there someone in the logistics department at Sony that I could maybe intern with for 6 weeks over the summer? It's an extraordinary way to, delve into an area that you might not have any experience in. And you might think, hey, I really want to be a business major and I think I want to work in finance. And you go and you do an internship with, a family member or friends, and you say, you know what, this isn't for me. So, or I love it. And it kind of solidifies your plans. The next thing is ACT and SATs. I can't tell you whether the SAT or ACT will actually happen. What I do know is that right now, 95% of colleges, including the NCAA, have gone test optional for the class of 2021. And when I say that, people don't believe me, but it is truly test optional this year because of the fact that there is just illness going on in different parts of the country at different times. The ACT and the SAT have canceled some, they've allowed others to run. And so it's been so uneven in terms of who's been able to take the test and who's not. Colleges and the NCAA have said it is absolutely not required for admission, and it is not required for scholarship purposes, and that includes also any athletic nominations or any kind of qualification for the NCAA for Division I or Division II athletes. We offer, obviously, 4 times a year, for those of you who aren't aware, free test prep by 2 instructors who teach a verbal and a math portion of the ACT and SAT. It's given typically the fall, the winter, and the spring. Right now, we're currently in our ACT course. Then we will move to the SAT and then back again to the ACT, and then resume in the summertime with the SAT. Obviously, right now, everything is virtual. But I'm hoping that we'll be back in the classroom soon. The SAT class, the signups will be released soon. I will be sending those out, so just look for paperwork from me, and it'll be a Google Doc that you can sign up, a Google survey, and you can sign up online. This is just a general timeline for the junior year and what you should be doing. So if at any time you feel like, oh my God, we haven't done anything, we're really behind, hopefully this calms you down a little bit. Right now, there isn't a tremendous amount that you can do. You can utilize Naviance, you can maintain your co-curricular record, you can make sure that your resume is intact, that you're working on, looking at preparation for the PSAT. You really can't visit college campuses because most of them are closed. You can do virtual tours, so you can go onto the website and do an actual virtual tour and see what the school looks like. You can listen to virtual webinars that the college might offer for you. But, getting there is going to be difficult. As the winter comes, the second week in December is when the PSATs will be released. So you will be able to, at that point, really kind of start moving in the direction of college preparation. You'll be able to attend my formal junior college and scheduling presentation, which I do with Mr. Spiegel, our department head for scheduling. We talk about scheduling the senior schedule, all the courses that are available. We talk a little bit about dual enrollment, about what classes you should be taking and how that may look to a college. And then we talk about how do you begin the search process for a college, where to look, when to look, how to look, all of that. We ask that you take your first SAT or ACT after you've done 6 to 8 weeks of prep work. And then you have your big individual college consultation with me, which is about an hour long, which is hopefully by the time you come to see me or we do a Zoom meeting, you have some sort of SAT or ACT and you have a very well-established resume with all of your activities and all of the accolades that you've achieved over the last 3 years. And you have a comprehensive transcript that you're proud of, because at that meeting, I take a look at that and I say, realistically, these are the schools you should be looking at based on where your GPA is and the students that have come before you. This is where you will be the most successful. And we will talk about what your wants and needs are, what the must-haves are, and come up with a list of 8 to 12 schools that really fits your profile. And then I sort of set you on your way. And over the summer, the things that I recommend, whether it's improving a test score or it's, beefing up your extracurriculars, I sort of hope that you will take that advice from the meeting and do what you can to create a final list by the fall. So when we meet again, this time next year, you will have explored some of the schools that I talked about. You will have, a final GPA from your junior year and a really great test score that you're proud of. And then we can finalize that list that we had spoken about in April or May. Spring is a really busy time here for juniors. Our attention is all on you at that point. There are a ton of night events, day events that happen. The seniors have been accepted and the juniors really are at the forefront. So we do a financial aid night starting in March, which is really kind of letting you know if you haven't saved for college, what you should be doing. So someone will come in from the university. We have guest speakers from all over who will come to talk about that. The Jet Tour, which will be virtual this year, actually, one just happened a couple of nights ago, which was really geared towards seniors because the spring for juniors last year was canceled. But there will be another one in April where the Jet, which is all the Jesuit schools in the United States, will visit Bergen Catholic, and that's just for the junior class. So, Loyola Marymount will be here. Fordham will be here. Georgetown, Boston College, like it depends on the lineup, but they will come and they will be in the gym on a typical year, and you will have the opportunity to speak with them, to go through everything, and come up with a really, hopefully a nice relationship with that rep, who then will be reading your application in the fall if a Jesuit school is something that you're interested in. Every year I do a college fair with IHA. So Melissa O'Sullivan, who is the director of college counseling, and our teams work together, and we put a college fair on. Generally attracts anywhere from 80 to 100 college reps, which is a really nice way also for us to touch base with the representatives and for you as well. So that's generally in April. And then in May, we do a college admissions panel, which is 5 to 6 representatives from very popular universities across generally the Eastern Seaboard, who will come in and speak about the college admissions process. And then afterwards, you get to ask them questions, and it's really a nice night. And then finally, I do an essay writing workshop for the boys in May. Generally, in the past 2 years, it's been with Duke. I've had Babson come in and speak as well to give a little bit of a different spin. Obviously, if we cannot do it in person, we will do it virtually. This fall, I had Xavier do a workshop for the boys, for the boys in the fall on essay writing. And then obviously the counselors will be speaking on the issues, as well as the English teachers will be going into the classroom to talk about actually drafting the essay, editing it, and going through the final resume with the seniors. So that will be next fall. All right, so what do we expect of you? Maintain your grades, take the right classes, make sure you're challenging yourself. Get your full potential of your experience here at Bergen. I know I say it all the time, but this is a special place. Get involved, stay involved, be a spokesperson for what we are here. Get involved in your community. The community service programs are outstanding. I know that, we will be doing things, even if we're not able to get out into the community, we'll be doing things from behind a computer, because that's just what we're passionate about here. So please don't be shy about, reaching out to, Mr. Powers, to Mr. Hammerly, to Mr. Rusaretto, Mrs. Sorrentino, all of the people who really are passionate about those issues, because any one of them at any time would be happy to jump on, the bandwagon for an idea that you might have to support, someone who's less fortunate in our community. Make sure you're prepping for the tests that are coming up. I can't tell you they're going to be canceled for sure, and I would much rather you be prepared than not prepared. So, if you can by January decide whether it's an SAT for you or an ACT, it's going to make your life so much easier. Generally, it's one or the other. And so by taking the PSAT seriously, you really will get a very good idea as to, okay, like I should be taking the SAT, or you know what, even though I prepared and I took it seriously, it was really hard for me. Maybe I should look into taking the ACT. And I think, by registering for an actual ACT in January, by mid-January, you have a PSAT number and an ACT number. And at that point in time, you can send me an email, or you can stop in, or your parents can reach out and say, hey, what do you think we should take based on the kind of student that I am, or that my son is? Think about the SAT subject test, whether it's something you need or not. Typically, the SAT subject test is for upper tier students who might be applying to schools like Georgetown or an Ivy League school, where it's a required subset of the application. Clearly, right now, things are kind of on hold, so it's not really at the forefront of priorities. Open houses and coaches, that's obviously an important part. The coach piece is for someone who might be an athlete, I always say that, if you're looking to play D3 sports, that you should be doing a lot of the reaching out, a lot of the emails, a lot of the legwork. The kids who are truly a D1 or D2 athlete, they're going to reach out to you. You're going to know pretty early on, unless you kind of really peak later in your academic career or your athletic career, you're going to know that you're being recruited. And so, certainly that process starts for a lot of boys junior year. Sometimes it's sooner. Sometimes it's the summer and fall of senior year, where coaches will reach out and they'll ask for an academic pre-read. So for anybody who has questions about that, certainly you can reach out to me. I handle all of that with you and with the coaches here at Bergen. There's many days where Coach Bell is in here, or Coach Vito's in here, and we're talking about what's the best school, what's the best fit, both academically and athletically. My goal always is to get you into the best school possible. Sometimes we have to come together on what our expectations are. Okay, so the college search, this is just a little bit about what you're going to be doing in the spring. Before you start looking, identify your preferences. So this is something that you'll hear all the time. Major academic interest, school type, a 2-year, a 4-year, a public, a private, rural, urban, suburban, religious. Do you want it to be Catholic? Do you want it to be Jesuit? Do you not really care either way? The location, do you want it to be 2 hours, 3 hours, 5 hours, or do you not care? And then looking at, obviously, the level of competitiveness, and then the extras. And then obviously for parents, cost is, obviously usually the most important thing. But please use Naviance, because that's what it's there for. I do try very hard to make sure that it's well maintained of a system, which means that when kids are getting accepted or waitlisted or deferred or denied, that I am putting all that data in so that you have that data for the following year. Naviance's my biggest complaint is that they don't automatically update that information. So if 9 kids apply to Georgetown, if I don't go in, or the student doesn't go in and report the results, we don't know how the kids did that year. So I try very hard to keep that as up to date and as accurate as possible. So please use it. It really does give you, a lot of help in this, and it allows you to do pretty comprehensive searches on all of these areas. Okay. It is best to visit when school is in session. Obviously, right now, things are very strange. We give seniors 2 excused absences for college visits, but honestly, I think everybody is in a place right now where things are very difficult. I would be hard pressed to say that if you have an opportunity to visit a school, that we wouldn't be flexible about that. Certainly don't go visit 15 schools, but we're understanding about the fact that, hey, you know what, Fordham's taking visits right now. Great, go see Fordham. Sign up for an interview while you're there. Ask questions, take notes, evaluate what you see and hear, and then try to not gauge your experience on, there's a foot of snow on the ground, or it was pouring rain. Some of those things are out of their control, and it isn't really, a true tell sign of what the school is like. Okay, so because we're not really doing college fairs, I'm recommending doing virtual college fairs at this point, doing virtual tours on the college's website. It is certainly a new way of learning things. I have to say, I don't love it. It's not the same for me, but it's the best we can do right now. So, NACAC does a really great job of sort of bringing people together from all over the country. NACAC is the national organization for college counseling, and they're kind of the go-to, if you will, with both the counselor side and the college side, and students, obviously. So, I put for you here some dates of virtual college visits that will be coming up, October 12th, 18th, and then November 8th. And you can sign up at virtualcollegefairs.org and start looking in to see what they have to offer. When you're ready to actually refine and balance your list, which is really not something that you will do until your senior year, the things that we really look for is the identity, identifying what is the likelihood you're going to get in. I want to make sure that you've got, 1 or 2 safety schools, a good slew of really good target schools that you would love to go to, and that you're going to get a good amount of financial aid money, and then 1, 2, or 3 reaches. And I kind of have a subset in my own mind that, There's always going to be pie in the sky reach schools that, most people don't get into and is a reach for them. But I want you to have a reach that, maybe is out of your, in terms of numbers, is not really, is a reach, but it's something that either we have a really good relationship with the school, and so it makes it attainable, or someone at the school and there's some sort of a contact, you're going in as an athlete. There's all sorts of other reasons that make a school maybe not necessarily an inattainable reach. So I call them attainable reaches because those are generally the ones that kids will end up using as their early decision school, which means that the school is giving you a little bit of a bump in terms of your admission criteria based on you saying to them, if you take me, I'm coming. Okay. So the things that every college looks for in a regular year is GPA, SAT or ACT scores, the college essay, and your extracurriculars. With test scores sort of out the door right now, and sort of a big question mark for the class of 2022, I would recommend that anything else you can do to sort of fill the gap of maybe not being able to submit an SAT or ACT score, you do that. So whether it's, extra community service, extra research, another summer program, anything else to sort of fill that little bit of a void if you are a good test taker. For the kids who are not great test takers but have an amazing GPA and have taken all the hard classes, but they just never could do well on a test score, this is your year, because this is the one time it really will never matter. And I hope that it stays this way, but I feel based on the leverage that College Board and Princeton Review have, I don't think that we're going to be, I think we're going to be right back where we were a year from now. Again, we talked a little bit about the ACT and the SAT and knowing what to take. Again, I talked about the timeline for the SAT or ACT. This is the difference between the two tests, and I'm not going to go through it, but for those of you who aren't familiar with the difference of the two, used to be that the ACT was really something that was used in the Midwest. Both tests are absolutely interchangeable at this point, so it doesn't matter which test you send. It is really just about preference and which one you do better on. So whatever the higher score is, that's the one you're going to send, and you're going to omit the other one. You can take both tests as many times as you like, and you send the highest score of whatever the sitting date was. I am going to share these slides with you so you have all of this, so you don't need to frantically write or take pictures. This is a sample resume, obviously, of what I'd like you to start now. We did do this with the boys on Naviance, obviously, in the sophomore year. But, this is something to revisit. You should have an ongoing Google Doc of everything that you've done, because by the time you apply senior year, you will not remember. So this is a really good thing to start on a rainy Sunday afternoon. Put in everything that you've done along the past 4 years. And, then certainly, when it's time, we can refine it and polish it and make it ready so that it looks great to go. All right. So how can parents help? I think that the college process is really very stressful for all parties. Kids want to get into the best school. Parents want them in the best school. They want to be able to afford it. You don't want to send them too far, but you don't want to keep them too close. There's a lot of things that go into this process. So, my best advice really is, keeping an open mind when you go and visit colleges. Try to encourage your sons to do the same thing. Don't shut the door on something that maybe is too close, like a TCNJ, because, it's too close. It might be, a really great school for you if you go and you see it and you realize, okay, well, it doesn't really matter because I'm going to be living there. I think we all have preconceived notions about things before we go through the process. So, go and see schools together. Try to stay silent throughout the trip. Write things down. And then on the way home, when you discuss, what you thought, let your sons talk first and ask them what they thought before, you say you loved it, because they may say, I hated it just because you loved it, or vice versa. So, really try to encourage them to find their voice about what it is that they're looking for, and then support them in the process. I obviously think you need to be very clear about the parameters of things you can and can't do. No, you can't go to California. No, you can't live in Hawaii. But yes, if there's something on the East Coast or the West Coast that really does fit your major and we can afford it, well, then sure, we would revisit that. Whatever it is, just be on the same page, because being on the same page really does help this process go smoothly. When you're doing the nitty-gritty of actually applying, people do want to pull their hair out. So use us as resources here. Like I said, no question is a silly one. Please email, text, skywrite, whatever it is that you need to sort of help put your mind at ease. That's what we're here to do. This is my 20th year. I say that, as I cringe, but I do this stuff in my sleep. So really, please reach out. I can't, I'll do anything I can really to help you through this. Okay. So, the guidance counselors for the class of 2021 and 22 are here. Mrs. Niles, Mr. Crawford, and Mrs. Smallman by alphabet listed. If you don't know, if you haven't spoken to them up until this point, parents, students, anyone, please reach out. Even if it's just a quick email. Hey, just wanted to touch base. Would it be okay if I stopped in and said hello? Even if it's a virtual Zoom meeting, they want to hear from you. They don't just want to see you when you failed, a DNECO quiz. Like, they want to know what's going on. We have scholarships that we have to recommend kids for all the time. If we don't know you, we can't do that. Okay. So be visible, be approachable, and let us get to know how awesome you really are. These are just some useful websites, for scholarships, which you won't need for another year. Financial aid, which you won't need until next year. Obviously, for college searches, the College Board for SAT, the Princeton Review for ACT. Peterson's is a great, just web-based resource. It's, very similar to the college search books that we used when we were looking for colleges. They do still exist, by the way. And then the testing agencies, they're there for you as well. The Common App, some other things, NCAA Clearinghouse, which again, you won't need any of that stuff until next year. All right, but it's just for in case you're you're interested. All right, so I'm going to open it up to questions and answers. We do have a chat box, so I'm going to have Mr. Spiegel help me just field any questions, and I'm happy to answer.
Yeah, Mrs. Walter, I'm going to put the first one up on the screen now. There was one in the chat room.
Okay.
So now I'll say that again. I just put the first question up there for you, Mrs. Walter.
Okay. I think I need to.
As they come in, I'll put you up.
Okay.
So let's do that. There we go.
Aha. Okay. So if the PSAT is in an in-school setting, then is the school closed for regular classes? It is not. We're actually able to do the PSAT for the boys here in school, but just the juniors. So we were able to facilitate it so that I think, are we closing? We're not closing school, right?
I'm sorry, Mrs. Walter, say that again.
The PSATs, we are able to, we're hosting them only for juniors, correct? But
yes, I don't know what we're doing. If I think actually I don't want to say that's something.
Yeah, I feel like we originally that it was decided that we wouldn't be closing school that day. But I think that the calendar says we have a half a day, so don't hold me to it, because the PSATs is not my area. I don't proctor. I don't run that program. I believe based on the calendar, I know it's only for juniors. We are not giving it to the sophomores in October, but that I do believe it's going to be a half day in the way that we have to structure the school day. All right, well, if there's no other questions, certainly I can hang on if anybody has anything else. But if there's no questions, I will certainly be sharing the slides with you tomorrow. We will send them out. So take a look, in your email for those. And thank you all so much for joining us tonight. And I hope you guys have a great night.